Welcome back to NBA Cinema, guys. So we got to talk about this as people are getting on LeBron James online for something he said in the post game last night. Now they faced the Warriors, who had previously been having trouble with LA. Some of the things I noticed about the game last night was, how easy Steph was able to exploit Luca and others. In different matchups that he couldn't before. I know a lot of times when he would take it to the rack and AD was down there, it was trouble for him over the last few years playing the Lakers and without Jimmy Butler. But with Jimmy on the court and without the presence of AD, he was able to exploit Luca a few times I saw. And Luca hasn't been shooting the ball particularly well or consistent with the Los Angeles Lakers since he came over. Now he's had some big scoring outputs and explosions, and they started off really hot, but you had an injury which we thought LeBron was potentially having another growing strain last night, but he got hit in his ribs, and we'll see if anything comes of that because he continued and he finished the game. But uh, one thing LeBron said in the post game got people looking at him with the side eye, and we're gonna get kind of into this. Let's check it out.
Knowing, assuming that you've watched what the Warriors have looked like with Jimmy Butler since the trade, but having seen it now for the first time played against it, what did you sort of make of what they put together over there, knowing that that's a team you could see in 2 weeks pretty easily?
I've been a part of them making big acquisitions to change their dynamic of their team before. And had to go against them when they added Kevin Durant. So, Jimmy Butler is great, and he adds a toughness to him. He adds a championship DNA type of guy. But it's always the same. They always figure it out. They always add somebody that makes them dynamic.
Now LeBron was giving the team some props, for always making a move. Golden State is known to make a move to keep this team competitive throughout all of Steph's years. And, at first shot, that's kind of how I took it. But I've seen some comments online where they're like, wait, LeBron, you brought in AD. You went back to Cleveland after they had Kyrie and they were going to bring in Kevin Love. You went to Miami, made them dynamic. And so your teams have always had somebody else. Anthony Davis was listed amongst the top 3 or 5 players at one point. Um, and the knock on Jimmy really has been, can he lead a team to a championship? Can he be your number one option? Now, he's beat a lot of people, uh, who people deem number one options to get to the championship for sure. But, is he able to offensively command the attention and dominate in a way where whenever you face a Jokic or somebody like that, would you feel confident about winning that series? And so this seems like a perfect fit for Jimmy at this point, to be a second option to Steph and sometimes take on that first option role as it pertains to getting to the foul line, getting them some easy ones. But, for LeBron to say that, and oh, by the way, you have Luka Doncic now who just led his team to the finals with your former running mate Kyrie Irving. People are saying, why are you trying to frame it as if they've had these teams, because something didn't slip by me the other day too on the Pat McAfee show that I disagree with LeBron with. He said that the Boston Celtics was a big four. No, Rajon Rondo was a young player. Don't try to make that narrative as if he was a big four caliber player at that point. He was a very good point guard, defensive point guard, amongst the top in steals and very big hands, so he was able to do trickeration with the ball, and he had a good IQ and could pass the ball. But you could sag all the way off of him in the paint. Don't try to make that team more of a super team than it was. Don't try to do that and slide that in there. I would disagree with LeBron on that. Um, I think he's not wrong about the Golden State Warriors with them keeping teams around Steph in his prime years, right? And I think one of the narratives with LeBron that has kind of stuck with him that a lot of his fans used to argue um, is like that narrative when he was playing with the Mo Williams teams. Like he took those guys to the finals, which was an impressive feat. But it's almost like some people forget who LeBron has played with after that. he's had more talent, and um, he's probably played. I mean, shoot, you D Wade in his prime still, AD's prime years, Luca going, right at his starting his prime in his prime years, Kyrie Irving's prime years, Chris Bosh prime years. You know, you even got since you talking about that Rajon Rondo. If we're gonna make him super, you still had a very good Rajon Rondo when you won the bubble ring as well. And people kind of coming at LeBron for saying that. Now I want to know what you guys think. Do you think LeBron was just complimenting the organization, or do you think he's trying to create an underdog narrative in case they face in the playoffs? Because I just seen people kind of every time LeBron speak, it's gonna be talked about. It's gonna be evaluated on a high level, but um, I mean, do I think LeBron when he says things? I'll put it like this. This is how I look at it, and I'll leave y'all with this. When he says things to insinuate other organizations are building super type teams, that's going to always be rejected by him since he chose to go to Miami. I think anytime somebody hears anything that sounds like he's an underdog and he don't have the talent around him, they gonna lose it. Every time they hear that, whether right or wrong. Sometimes LeBron may just really be complimenting that organization, but it seems like um, he's talking about like the talent around Steph Curry, how great it is, and but the talent around you was great too, and I do want to keep that focus. The talent you chose to be around, the talent you had organizations go out there and bring in, everything in between. It's always been great players around LeBron James, and so we can't sit here and act like the Warriors. And let me say this: Steph Curry has stayed in one place, won championships, even won before KD. With Iguodala and those guys didn't try to super team it. Sometimes when you try to super team it, um, you can't organically get a good team to kind of build on. He had the Andre Iguodala years. Those type of players, instead of maxing a super contract player out, sometimes you need to have like a bunch of those guys, the Sean Livingston's, Leandro Barbosas, and all those people they had during that earlier run. They retooled themselves. They had wigs and just other mid tier players, man. And um, you have a deep team. So if you have a little injury or something, you'll have enough to sustain you. LeBron's model of two or trying to get three maximum players sometimes, that leaves a little margin of error and that's tough for roster construction. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.